Your kindness is destroying you. That gut level ability to feel what everyone around you feels, the thing people praise you for, the thing that makes you such a good listener, is slowly draining you dry. You walk into a room happy and leave carrying someone else's grief like a bag you forgot to put down. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why that happens and how to keep your sensitivity without letting it eat you alive. You've felt it 1,000 times. A coworker vents about their terrible morning, and 20 minutes later, you're the one who can't focus. A friend calls in crisis, and after you hang up, their anxiety sits in your chest like something physical. You didn't choose to take it on. It just moved into you. And the worst part is that you've started to believe this is the price of caring. That feeling everything is what makes you a good person, and turning it down would make you cold. That belief is the trap. Absorbing someone's pain and understanding someone's pain are two completely different processes. One helps them, the other just gives you two people suffering instead of one. Think about the last time you took on a friend's stress. Did it help them? Did they walk away lighter because you were now carrying their weight? Almost certainly they didn't notice you were doing the emotional equivalent of bleeding alongside someone with a wound. Convinced that shared blood loss is solidarity. So why does this happen? Why do some people walk through emotional storms and stay dry while you get soaked every time? Part of it is wiring. Research on mirror neurons, the brain cells that fire both when you perform an action and when you watch someone else perform it, suggests that some people have a more reactive mirroring system. When someone near you cries, your brain partially simulates crying. You feel a ghost version of their sadness. That's real. That's measurable. And for people with high trait empathy, the simulation runs louder than average. But wiring is only half the story. The other half is a pattern you learned early. If you grew up in a household where someone's mood controlled the emotional weather, a parent whose anger meant danger, whose sadness meant you needed to fix something, you trained yourself to become a human barometer. You learned to scan constantly, to detect shifts before they became storms. That scanning saved you as a kid. As an adult, it's running on autopilot in situations where you're perfectly safe, burning energy you don't have on threats that aren't there. Here's where it gets mechanical. Your body stores these absorbed emotions the same way it stores your own. That tightness in your shoulders after a hard conversation with your mother, your body logged that as your tension. The low-grade dread you felt after scrolling through a friend's crisis text at midnight, filed under your dread. Over time, you lose the ability to distinguish between emotions that originated in you and emotions you picked up, like static from someone else's broadcast. A therapist named Judith Orloff has spent decades working with patients who identify as empaths. One pattern she describes is the empath hangover, that bone-deep exhaustion after social interaction that has nothing to do with introversion. You can love people, enjoy the party, genuinely want to be there, and still come home feeling like you ran a marathon, because energetically, you did. You were processing the emotional output of every person in the room simultaneously for hours. So what actually works? The answer starts with something uncomfortable: boundaries. And before you recoil, because every empath hates that word, consider what a boundary actually is. A boundary means you can witness someone's pain without volunteering to hold it for them. A surgeon doesn't refuse to help because they stay calm during the operation. Their calm is the help. Your steadiness in someone else's storm is more useful than your drowning alongside them. The first practical shift is learning to notice the moment of absorption. There's always a moment. Someone shares something heavy and you feel a physical response. A drop in your chest, a tightening, a wave of something that wasn't there 30 seconds ago. That moment is the doorway. Most people walk through it automatically. Your job is to stand in the frame and pause. When you feel that shift, ask one question: is this mine? 3 words. Is this mine? You'd be stunned how often the honest answer is no. The sadness isn't yours. The anxiety isn't yours. The anger floating through your body after a tense meeting isn't yours. You picked it up, and what you picked up, you can put down. The second shift is harder. You have to grieve the identity. Many empaths have built their entire sense of self around being the one who feels deeply, the one who understands, the one people come to. Letting go of compulsive absorption can feel like letting go of what makes you special. That grief is real, and you should let yourself feel it. But ask yourself this: do you want to be valued for your ability to suffer alongside people, or for your ability to stay whole enough to actually help them? A friend of mine, a counselor who spent 15 years absorbing her client's trauma, described her turning point like this. She was sitting across from a client who was sobbing, and she realized her own eyes were filling with tears. She was mirroring perfectly, and the client wasn't getting better. Hadn't been getting better for months. My friend's emotional fusion was actually preventing the kind of clear, boundaried support that creates real change. She was so busy feeling with her client that she'd stopped thinking for her client. She started practicing what she called compassionate distance. Close enough to understand, far enough to be useful. The shift took months. She described it as learning to stand next to a fire and feel its warmth without stepping into the flames. Her clients started improving faster. She stopped needing 12 hours of sleep on weekends. There's a physical component too. Absorbed emotions lodge in the body, so the body is where you release them. After heavy interactions, move. Walk, shake your hands, literally the way a dog shakes off water. It sounds ridiculous. It works because your nervous system responds to physical discharge. Cold water on your wrists, 3 slow breaths where the exhale is twice as long as the inhale. These aren't wellness platitudes, they're pattern interrupts that signal your body to drop the cargo that was never yours. One thing worth acknowledging: some environments make this nearly impossible. If you live with someone whose emotional dysregulation dominates the household, individual coping strategies can only carry you so far. Boundaries require space, and some situations compress that space to nothing. If that's where you are, the first boundary might need to be a physical one. Sometimes the most empathetic thing you can do for yourself is leave the room, or the house, or the relationship. Willpower alone doesn't fix a structural problem, but for the daily accumulation, the coworker's stress, the friend's crisis call, the heaviness after watching the news, you have more control than you think. The practice is simple and relentless. Notice, name, and release. Notice the shift in your body. Name it as something you absorbed. Then consciously choose to set it down the way you'd put down a bag you were holding for someone who walked away 20 minutes ago. You're still holding bags for people who've already left the room. You know you are. You can feel them right now. That low hum of worry or sadness or tension that doesn't connect to anything currently happening in your life. Someone else's bag, still on your shoulder. Here's what nobody tells empaths. Your sensitivity was never the problem. The problem was that nobody taught you where you end and other people begin. You learned to feel everything and learned to release nothing. That imbalance turned a gift into a weight. The empath who thrives looks different from what you'd expect. They feel deeply, yes. They also let go quickly. They cry with you and then go home and sleep soundly. They hold space without collapsing into it. They love fiercely and still protect their own energy like something precious, because it is precious and because depleted empathy helps exactly no one. You've spent years proving you can carry everything. The harder skill, the one that actually changes your life, is proving you can put it down. Tonight, before you sleep, do an inventory. What are you carrying that started in someone else's body? Name it. Thank your nervous system for trying to help, and let it go. The way you'd release a breath you've been holding so long you forgot it wasn't permanent. Your empathy works best when you're whole. And right now, you're running on fragments of yourself mixed with fragments of everyone you've ever loved. Sorting those pieces apart, keeping yours, returning theirs. That's the work. The quiet, unglamorous, daily work that no one will applaud you for because they never noticed you were drowning in the first place. Start tonight, one bag at a time.